And welcome back to the Wicked Ones podcast. This is Jen.
And this is Tara.
And we had a little bit of a spring break, and now we're recording a little bit close together because Tara was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be gone.
So this is what we have to do. We just have to shift our schedule around, and sometimes we record back to back.
And that's what we're doing today. So, I am going to... Did you listen to Dying for Sex? The podcast that I told you about?
I did. And then I think I still have 20 minutes left, but I couldn't bring myself to listen to it because I cried so hard in the first half that every time I wanted to listen to the end, I was like, I just can't cry right now.
It's so good, right?
It's really good. And now I want to read...
It so comes full circle. Her memoir. Yes.
Oh my gosh. It's not at all what you think it's going to be.
No. And in the beginning, it's like a little raunchy. And I'm like, oh gosh. Sobbing, right? I was listening to it at work doing my paperwork and just bawling my eyes out.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some things in the beginning that might make you...
Oh, you were sending me text. You're like, what? And I'm like, no. It's not what it's about. I know that's what it seems like it's about, but it's not.
I was like, did you remember this part? I'm like, what did you recommend to me?
I know, it sounds so terrifying.
Yeah, but no, it was good. It was really good.
So good. Yeah. It's about two best friends. I know, I loved it. Good. Yeah. Well, you'll have to let me know after you're done listening to the last 20 minutes. And we should read the memoir.
We should. Yes, it's on my list.
I just finished Unraveled. Have you heard this? Billy Jensen and
but I haven't.
Alexis Linkletter about the Long Island serial killer. It's like 7 episodes. I binged it, of course, because you know me, I'm in love with Billy Jensen. So I was like, I'll listen to you all day long.
Oh yeah, no, I saw it and it's on my list, right? Being homeschooling and doing all that we're doing right now, it is insane, and I have to lock myself in a closet to get 5 minutes myself.
I shouldn't tell you all those things.
But please, I will live vicariously through all of your...
It was good. So let me listen to them first, and I will tell you what I recommend. It's good. It's obviously well done, right? It's like professional and great. But I will tell you, there was a lot that they talked about. I had no idea.
Really? I love when that happens. Because I have listened to several podcasts on Lisk because it's interesting to me. And I remember when I first heard the story, I was like, I need to know more. And so I sought out other podcasts and I listened to them all. But you learned new details?
I learned new details. And they were on the ground, doing interviews out there, doing real stuff. They were doing real stuff, not just what we do, where we read
he's
other
a journalist,
people's stuff.
So he can kind of
and so is Alexis
to do that, right?
Yes. So they make a good team. Apparently there's another show out. I haven't.
Do they have any new suspects, or is it just new information on old suspects?
Yes.
Okay. That's not an answer, but okay.
I can't tell you. Okay, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. It's just really good, and it made me look at it in a new way. And that's old, and I consider us a little bit. I mean, we're kind of gurus in the area. We know a lot. So anytime something can catch my attention and make me lean in to listen, I appreciate it. I'm also reading again. I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
That's on my list too. I say that all the time, you guys. I have a really long list.
No.
Okay. Every time I see her picture.
Oh, I'm reading it again. I read it a long time ago. I was on the wait list for the library because you know me. Mm-hmm. I read it a long time ago. And then Danielle is reading it. And when she told me she was reading it, I couldn't help but to read it again. Oh, yeah. So good.
Danielle's reading it, really?
So her boss gave it to her. Ah. She had left her book on a plane. So she was in Houston. She left her book on a plane and her boss gave it to her. And I was like, oh, I think I like her. Now I know
she
why
never would have picked it on her own.
I'm like, I knew you liked her for a reason. I also started a new show. This was completely by accident. So I was on the treadmill and I needed something to watch for my cool down after my Peloton ride because I'm obsessive compulsive. And I haven't had the stomach to get on social media, you guys. I hate it. So I went on Amazon Prime and this popped up. It's called Tell Me Your Secrets.
What is that?
Ooh, exactly.
I've never heard it.
That's what I said. So it's on Amazon Prime. It's free. It's like a thriller. I'm on episode 4. There's 10 episodes. 2 of the main characters are married in real Well, I shouldn't say if they're
Really?
married. They're together in real life and have children.
Oh, I saw the characters from the 100 are married. Did you know that? The girl who played Clark and Bellamy.
Oh my
They're married.
gosh.
I meant to send that to you because I was like, no way. But Jen doesn't know. Yeah.
Oh,
Totally.
I have to start that one over.
Yeah,
We should do that when we do our getaway. But this is really good because it's a thriller. There's a serial killer. It's a little bit of a love story. And there's a comeback kid.
Ooh, it has everything.
It has everything I need. And I'm pairing it with the treadmill. So the only time I can watch it is when I'm on the treadmill. So
you like to do that to yourself. It's good. It gets you on there.
Well, because I can't watch it with the kids or with Steve or anyone else. I'm like, Steve's like, why? It's 9:30. Why are you going on the treadmill? I'm like, I gotta get my steps.
Anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't get it's mixed reviews.
Okay,
but
it's worth checking out.
For free, yeah. I think I'd recommend it.
Cool. I love when you recommend stuff. I don't have time to watch it yet. But when those kids are back in school, you better believe I'm taking a lunch hour every day. Because you know me, half the time I'm like, man, no lunch, didn't eat today, whatever. No, even if it's just a small something, I'm going to sit down for 30 minutes and at least watch one show.
So good. It's good to do it. Obviously, the things that I'm reading and listening to and watching are not uplifting. I don't know. But there's still my time. I get to check out for a little bit. And even though it's usually murder and mayhem, I come back feeling revitalized. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think the true crime community can understand that. Yeah. I mean, how many memes do you see where it's like, oh, I can't fall asleep, and then it's like, let me put on this murder show and documentary, and then, and it's like, totally. So, I don't know what it is. We're not weird. There's at least 75% of the rest of the world is just like us, I think, at least.
We've talked about this before. I try to listen to other things. There's a couple of parenting type books that I've got on Audible recently, and I put them on, and I can't handle these happy voices about, I don't know. It's ridiculous. I can't handle it. We're just going to parent my style, and I'm going to listen to murder and death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Often is what I get. This is why we get along so well.
I know. So tell me, what do you have today?
Oh, well, before I get into what I have, really quick, I do have a quick corrections corner type thing. I don't know. We've never really talked about what we're calling that, but we'll just call it that. Mm-hmm. When I was editing before I left for vacation, the Wells Gray Park episode, I caught two things that I said wrong, and I just want to correct it on here. Nobody's actually brought it up to my attention yet, so that's good. But I mentioned that the Bentleys, George and Edith, drove the truck with the camper, and that's correct. But then right after that, for some reason, I said, and then the parents drove with the car. That's not correct. So the Johnsons drove the car, the family of four, and then their grandparents drove the truck with the camper. And then at one point when I was talking about the car and finding the bodies, I mentioned that they were incarcerated, and I meant to say incinerated. Not that that's maybe as big of a deal as getting the vehicles wrong, but I just wanted to say that I know the difference, just in case anyone was wondering. I just must have been thinking ahead to like jail time, and I said,
well, we talked about the jail too, near the campsite.
Yeah.
So that might have been a little bit
and I mean, of course, we have like notes and we have, things that we're looking at, scripts and different things so that we don't get off course. So I'm sure I saw the word incinerated and read it as incarcerated. So my bad, but I caught it, and I just want to let you guys know that I know that I was wrong. So
and now we hope now, Tara, you can sleep at night.
I can sleep at night.
I know that has kept you up.
Yes, I've thought about it a lot.
I know. When you were texting me, I'm like, I didn't catch it. Normally I would call you out. So you're fine.
Hopefully nobody caught it, but I did. Oh, so anyway.
We're human, and I believe that making those mistakes only shows that.
Yeah, I think that's true. That's fair.
I think it's okay.
We have to give each other grace. I try, but
all right. Talk to me.
All right. So today I'm going to tell you about the Bling ring. Have you heard? I don't know about the Bling ring. Okay.
I'm so excited.
That's good. Because as promised, just like you did last week, I'm so excited that you brought me a story that wasn't murder. I mean, it was still crime because that's what we do here, but a lighter story where no one gets murdered is kind of, I kind of like this little bit of a break,
I agree.
I dove in and I dug up details that I thought were pretty interesting, and I can't wait to hear the thoughts that come out of your mouth on this story.
Oh my gosh, my mind is...
I'm
trying to, like, think of everything I can possibly have read or heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is going to be good. All right, so let's get into it. So travel back with me to 2008.
Oh, it's around the same time?
It's around the same time as your story. I almost said that during your story. But not too long before.
We were newly married.
We both had our daughters in 2009. So, but it kind of brings you back to the time when we had a little more downtime. We watched a little more TV back then. And I know you're a People magazine junkie like I am. I actually got one on the plane. It was nice. It was like my first one in like a year.
I know that's, sorry, side note. I miss flipping through magazines.
Yeah.
So good.
I'll give you the ones I got on the plane so you can take them to work and enjoy.
Oh, yeah. I'll take them. I'll save them.
It's got
for my plane ride.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle info.
We have to talk about that too.
Yeah, we totally should. Okay. So the point is, pre-kids, back then, the OC was big. Paris Hilton, her drama was unfolding, if you can remember correctly. She did that show with Nicole Richie, right? The Simple Life. Ugh, not that I watched it. Of course, other stars around that time that are going to be in our story.
But they're like Nicole Richie she's come so far.
She has. No, I agree with you on that. I do. But I couldn't, back then I was like, what is this? So anybody can have a show now?
Well, I would watch, that's when I was like deep into my reality, like TV. Oh my gosh, didn't Steve ever tell you? Oh my gosh, Steve would get so annoyed because every day like 5 magazines would show up and I was obsessed with celebrity news. I could tell you what anyone was doing at any given moment.
That's amazing. But this, I guess I can see that now because you keep me updated on like all the stuff I don't know what's going on.
And
I never know what's going on.
No, I'm not. I don't really care what the celebrities are doing.
No, but like just in the news and things like that, you usually keep me posted because I don't ever know. Shit could be burning down over there. And like, what? I no idea. So yeah, so back then, and some of the other stars from our story, Orlando Bloom, Pirates of the Caribbean was pretty big. His girlfriend at the time, of course, Miranda Kerr, Victoria's Secret model. Adriana Patridge from The Hills. I'm sure now that I know, you probably watched that one.
Know it.
Lindsay Lohan was doing her thing too. Reality TV was big. It was really big. And I feel like back in the day when MTV and The Real World, that was kind of what maybe started it a little bit.
Absolutely.
Do you think that was kind of the start of it?
It was amazing.
So I did watch The Real World. Yes, I did. I watched that.
That like lights my fire right there. I'm like, yes, real.
Yes, totally. I used to watch that all the time. But so that was popular at the time that this group of teens ended up pulling off some serious burglary heists.
Yes.
You do?
Yep.
You know it?
I know it.
Okay.
Now I know it. Oh, I'm so excited.
They sold over $3 million in cash and goods in just a year's time, right? Making them one of the first and most successful rings of burglaries in Hollywood history. Rings of burglars. Sorry, not burglaries. Rings of burglars.
Yeah, I remember now.
Do you remember? So I think the Bling ring is probably the catchiest, what most people know them by, but they've also been called the Hollywood Burglar Bunch. That was another one in the headlines. What do you think of when you think of burglars?
Well, I mean, I'm old, so I think of like people sneaking in through a window. Yeah. But that's not.
No. You think of like people dressed in all black.
Yeah, that's not what modern day is. And then I remember not last summer, the summer before, which we don't have a problem in our neighborhood, but Steve's parents was telling us how people were working in like groups and they would come to your front door.
So somebody could sneak in the back?
So someone could sneak in the back. We don't have that problem in our neighborhood.
No.
But, similar situations like that. But these people were like right under your nose. The Bling ring was like...
Oh, absolutely.
Part of your crew.
You think of it as like all black, super sneaky, like running through the neighborhoods. Nope, not these kids. They were all dressed up to party. They were all dressed up. They looked like they belonged in these neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I mean...
They were part of the crew.
Smart, actually. But yeah, I mean, they looked rich enough to belong in these neighborhoods. They were wearing the clothes. They were walking the walk and talking the talk. So Rachel Lee, the first one I'm going to tell you about, was said to be the mastermind of this ring of thieves. She was a high school teen who had been expelled from Calabasas High School and ended up at Indian Hills, which is another high school nearby, where she met a boy named Nick Prugo, who had also ended up at Indian Hills High School after being expelled from Calabasas for truancy. So apparently all of Calabasas's like cast off go to Indian Hills.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah. Do you recognize any of the names in there so far? The Calabasas?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's all coming together now. I don't know why I didn't recognize the Bling ring, but I...
Yeah. But Calabasas, right? That's where the Kardashians live? Mm-hmm. So that's like the one thing that made me think like, oh, Kardashians.
I have to tell you something about that too at the end. Remind me.
I'll remind you. These two became close after they found out they both had a love of celebrity lifestyle, fashion in common. Nick had mentioned later on in an interview that Rachel was obsessed with reality TV and all the stars that lived nearby, and they also enjoyed partying, of course, what teens probably don't. Nick soon found himself addicted to drugs. What?
Like you? Your dad was a police officer. But
I didn't get invited to parties. But I wanted to go. So we'll talk about that later too. That's for a whole nother story. But yeah, they also enjoyed partying. Nick soon found himself addicted to drugs, and he started stealing from his parents to get money to support his habit. When he became friends with Rachel Lee, she was already on probation for shoplifting with another friend. Her name was Diana Tamayo, and they were on probation from lifting $85 worth of merchandise from Sephora. Not much, but they got caught, and
it's like an eye palette.
Yeah, right. I was thinking, I'm like, what did they steal? Like one perfume? Who knows? That stuff is expensive, right? Every time I walk in there, I'm like, dear God. Yeah, I don't usually buy much from there. But when I do, I feel like it lasts a while. I feel like it's good quality, but expensive. So however, in interviews, Nick would later say that even at the time, most of Rachel's wardrobe was shoplift. So she must have just done this all the time. She just happened to get caught that one time. But she was also, if I remember correctly, and I didn't put it in here, she was also voted best dressed. Well,
that's awesome.
We all know why.
Well, I mean, not really, but...
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But out there, it's probably more best dressed, most likely to be a model, most likely, whatever. Yeah. They're
most likely to become famous on TikTok.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's not like most out here in the Midwest where it's the normal stuff. We don't change anything. But out in California, it's probably a lot more glitzy.
Best athlete.
Right, right. So soon, the pair, Lee and Prugo, started checking vehicles at nighttime to see if they were open, if they could find any cash or credit cards or belongings lying around. Their first home break-in together was actually one of their classmates' homes in the summer of their sophomore year. They broke in because the family was out of town. They knew they weren't going to be there. But apparently they did well there. I mean, they lived in like these upper-class neighborhoods. They found $8,000 in cash under a bed. So they split it and they went on a shopping spree. So the two would pull their cash and cards that they would find, and they would go to Rodeo Drive, Melrose Avenue, places that I've never been.
Where you and I would be at Target trying to maximize our money.
Yeah. I can't even see trying to shop on Rodeo Drive. I think I would just get like sticker shock.
If I walked on the Rodeo Drive, I would probably pass out.
You probably would. I don't even know that we'd even walk into any of those stores and be like, oh, no.
I don't even feel appropriate being on the street. What street is this? I need to leave.
But, these two, no one would question them.
It'll be on our bucket list now.
Right? Well, now we have to go.
Oh, shit.
We'll use that offshore account to purchase some things. But I mean, here they are, right? They're using stolen money and stolen credit cards. It didn't even belong to them, but nobody asked them anything.
That's crazy.
They look like they belong there. Again, just like they look like they belong in these neighborhoods. So I mentioned Diana Tamayo, the other girl that was caught in Sephora shoplifting with Lee. She was also friends, with the group, and she was, interestingly enough, the student body president at Indian Hills and was also known for getting into fights. I thought that was kind of an interesting combo. Right?
Student body president who gets into fights. There's an interesting thing going on there.
Right? I was like, all right, hey, it's Indian Hills. Anything goes. This is
what we got here. Going. I don't know.
Yeah, these are all the kids that were expelled or in trouble.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But it was also mentioned that she was here in the States illegally. Her family had immigrated here when she was just a child. Something that would come up later on. Not that I thought it was something that I would normally mention, but it does play a role later. So I just thought I'd bring that up. Another friend in the group was Alexis Nares. She was homeschooled, but she knew them from a connection that she had. And it sounded like she enjoyed the party scene quite a bit too. She's probably the most well-known in the whole story. She was filming her reality show Pretty Wild on E! At the time of her arrest, which we'll get into later in the story. But right before I came over, I watched that episode. I downloaded the whole thing, so I kind of did what you did with Peacock, and I did the whole thing with NBC on my phone so I could watch this.
It'll get you.
This special episode, because it was called The Arrest, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch it. So we can talk about that here in a little bit.
It doesn't always add anything to your story, but it
gave
me... It's a personal fulfillment.
Yeah, I wanted to see who she was. I wanted to see what the show was all about. It was directed by, I can't think of her name, Chelsea Handler.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised to see her as
I love her.
Yeah, I love her too. But this show, not so much. But it
was short though, a short show, right? Didn't make it?
Yeah, it didn't really make it. It only had 2 stars, and this was one of the later. So I mean, they arrested her on the show while they were filming. So I'm not sure how much more you can,
where you can go from there.
Carry on. So the next friend in the ring was Courtney Ames. She's a stepdaughter of famous boxer Randy Shields. She was good friends with Rachel and would later bring her ex-con boyfriend, Johnny Ajar, a.k.a. Johnny Dangerous, into the mix. Okay?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was brought in basically as the group's fence. So he would try to sell all the stolen goods that they brought to him. His father was a career criminal and drug addict. So it looked like he kind of followed into his footsteps. He'd also spent 2 years in prison in Wyoming for drug trafficking at the age of 22.
Okay.
Yeah, 22. Mm-hmm. So Ajar met Courtney Ames and her friends at the Green Door, a popular nightclub in the area that apparently was easy to access with a fake ID for the teen crowd. So could you imagine our daughters in 5 years meeting some 22-year-old ex-con at a nightclub they're partying at?
I don't know, but apparently homeschooling is not going to protect her.
Damn it.
Just so you know.
But seriously, good God, where the hell are their parents? What are they doing? They just allow them to go out. So I did, seeing the video that I saw.
Maybe they were on call, like me.
Oh, God. This is where our parenting is shit.
Their dad's passed out, because I come home when I'm on call at 2 a.m, and Steve is sleeping, and there's literally,
I hope they don't listen to this podcast, because they're going to be like, ding, ding, ding.
There's I don't want to call it an actual rave, because it's not a true rave, but I'll come home at 2 a.m, and Steve is sleeping, because it's a Friday night, and I'm on call, and Stella's doing a craft, and Julia,
now she's doing a craft.
Yeah,
later she's crafting fake IDs.
Right, everybody's awake at 2 a.m, Steve's passed out, and then I yell at him, and he's like, I told everybody to go to bed. They were going to bed. And I'm like, but they waited you out.
They did. Oh. But,
this is a little extreme.
At these nightclubs. This is crazy.
If Stella had all these clothes in her closet, name brands, I'd
question it. I would hope to God we'd be able to tell if our kids were on drugs. That's huge. So let's hope that their parents were on call and thinking they were in bed. It's better than the alternative.
I haven't hit that milestone yet, so I'm not going to judge.
Yeah, no. Fine.
But I hope that I know.
Fine. We won't go there. But I will tell you, just from that one episode that I saw, there wasn't a whole lot of parenting going on there. Not a lot. Sure. Not a lot. So, and the homeschooling, because they were homeschooling, guess what she based all of her homeschooling on? The Secret. She even talked about it a couple times. And one of their homeschooling things was she had all the kids sitting around, and she goes, okay, so now we're going to talk about character. Let's look at Angelina Jolie. What do we learn from her character and her, right? And the girls are like, oh, her husband, her hot bod. I'm like, this is going well. We planned this curriculum from what? Oh my gosh, Jen. I was like, well, at least it made me feel so much better about
your homeschooling.
The homeschooling. Yeah. We're kicking ass and taking names. So, oh yeah. So back to the story. Courtney brings on her boyfriend, Johnny Dangerous, right? Because I like that name better, to do the selling of the goods. And she's also introduced Roy Lopez Jr. So he was a bouncer at one of the clubs. He was also recruited to resell the goods that they would bring in. He does join them on a couple of their burglaries out, but he mostly is supposed to be helping them sell.
He's a salesman.
Yeah, he's a sales guy. So that's the group. I know it's a lot up front, but I'll explain everyone's roles and I'll make sure that I mention their names as we dive in because I want you to be able to keep everybody straight. So the very first of the break-ins happened, celebrity break-ins, I should say, because obviously they've been doing this for a while. December of 2008, it was just Rachel Lee and Nick Prugo at the time. They decided it would be a good idea to start breaking into celebrity homes. Okay, I get it. They see nothing but celebs flaunting their designer bling and clothes and bags and stuff in magazines and on social media. Social media is like much bigger now than it was before. I mean, I'm trying to remember back then.
But I mean, that's still 2009.
Right, it's still pretty early.
That's super early, but I guess if you're in, you're in.
I guess. Well, I mean, and this is also California. Like, they do things a lot sooner than we do out here. It like makes its way here. It takes a while, but
we're Midwest.
I keep
everyone pictures us in overalls. So it's not true.
Cows outside. But you know what I mean.
I do.
So they know if they can get in, it's a jackpot. Fashion items, designer bags, jewelry. What can they find, right? So here we go. Let's decide. Which celeb would be dumb enough to leave their door unlocked? Jen, who do you think they targeted first? Do you remember or do you want to guess?
I want you to tell me.
All right. Paris.
Yes, I know.
Were you thinking? You're like, I want to say her
I
name.
do, but I don't want to be the...
You know what? They nailed it.
Did.
They nailed it. She was not the brightest crayon in the box, for sure. No.
She's engaged.
Oh.
She's got a beautiful ring.
You're still following the celebs.
Oh, we'll talk about that later.
I don't even
know. You know what? I just want her to come back.
I know you do, but I don't think it's going to happen, Jen. I mean, good for her if it does. Everybody deserves a comeback until
until you can't.
Until you just can't anymore. Yes, they nailed it. They totally nailed it. She would have been my first choice too. They found out when she would be out of town. They used Google Earth to locate her home. And they were able...
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Like, I thought they were like a little bit part of her crew. I didn't realize it was that
they had no idea.
Random.
They didn't even know where she lived. No. They were just like, who would leave their door unlocked and be a dumbass? And they were like, oh, Paris Hilton, let's Google her. Oh. So they totally Google Earthed her house. And they were able to get in. Oh, and they were following her too to see like when was she going to be out of town and that kind of thing. Because of course they talk about that stuff. You don't know her. She's not your friend. Stop. They're able to get into the community by climbing the hill and gain access in that way. They like come up the back way.
It's not easy, right? They didn't go through the gate.
No, they didn't.
So Paris was like, no one can come in because they have to come through the gate. And they're like, no, we'll take the hill.
Right? That's exactly what she thought. So they actually even try ringing her doorbell to see if anybody's home. Like, oh, I'll just check to see if no answer. And what do you think they did next? What would you do next?
They just opened the door.
Well, but before you open the door, you're like, oh, where would they keep a key?
Oh, they're going to look under the mat.
Oh, yeah, totally right there. Under the mat, key. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, my gosh. Not even a fake rock. Really?
I was going to say a fake rock, too.
I know. So they find the key, but they didn't even need it. The door was unlocked. It was. So they let themselves in, and they helped themselves. Nick acted as lookout at first, and Rachel went into a room and rifled through her things. Well, there were, but
it doesn't matter.
I'll tell you. So they went through her clothes, her jewelry. They found money in random purses. They tried to limit what they took so it wouldn't be obvious.
God, it's Paris. She probably has like her going out money in every bag.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. So they were able to take from everything. A little bit from here, a little bit from there.
No one would notice.
They even swiped a bottle of vodka on their way out one time. But I say one time because they don't know which time. Because the whole group, would actually come back to her home at least 4 more times, possibly more. Rachel, even had a spare key made and put it on her own keychain. Paris didn't have any idea that her home was broken into until later. During their break-ins, It was
Is this 2009?
This is, yeah. Like 2008 to 2009, yeah. So this was right around that whole year. I'm sure they came back several times. It was
I remember hearing about this, but I didn't realize the extent, and I didn't realize they didn't know each other.
No. But I mean, it was reported that they found stash of cocaine one time and snorted it at her house.
Oh, I'm sure.
While they were, deciding what they wanted that night. You can imagine them partying it up. They probably had music on. They were drinking. They were partying.
Hot tubs
they were
flowing.
trying on all of her clothes. Oh, yeah. So gross.
Her tears.
And her safe was even open on occasion, so they would take things out of her safe. Yeah, I know. She didn't realize she had been robbed until one of the members, Roy Lopez, the guy I told you that was usually the fence, joined them. And he stole that just that one time, he stole $2 million in jewelry. So.
What did he take?
Jewelry. So, must be diamonds and who knows.
I just picture, the Titanic necklace.
Right.
Right. Did you go big or go home, or did you take a little bit of this and a little bit of that so no one would notice?
Right. I think he went big.
I think he went big, and that's why.
I do. I think he stole, the Mac Daddy that was probably in a glass case, but the glass case was open. Mm-hmm. Everything was open.
Because she was high.
Yeah.
We should get ready.
Probably.
I can't believe there wasn't staff. Maintaining the yard.
So I do remember I did listen to a couple of podcasts on this just because I just wanted to hear a couple more takes. And and I didn't find it in my research, but one of the ladies on the podcast, so that's why I didn't want to say it, but she had mentioned that because she had staff that cleaned and came in and cleaned up before she would get home, that's probably why she didn't notice anything was amiss because it was all clean.
She would leave it
it was immaculate. So
when I go on vacation and I'm like, will someone clean my house? And then
you come home and you're like,
but I don't have anything for people to steal.
I could see where she maybe didn't notice it for a while. I mean, she really has so much stuff. And say you were looking for one particular purse, and you'd just be like, I must have left it in the car.
I have 4 purses, and sometimes I can't find one.
I know. And you're like, I probably, whatever,
Yeah,
or I'm like, maybe that shirt's at the dry cleaning or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you keep track of all that stuff? So once they had Paris's house under their belts, things seemed to grow from there. They chose their targets based on their lifestyles and those who were their fashion icons. So as I mentioned, Rachel Lee was the reported ringleader, so it makes sense that the targets were mostly female. She would call their nights out breaking and entering, going shopping. So the group chose Adriana Patridge's home next in February of 2009 when they knew that she would be at the Academy Awards. So they were also able to gain access to her home through an unlocked door, and they stole custom jeans, her laptop, some jewelry. They even took her passport. What do you need her passport for? I don't know.
Douchebags.
Right. That's just unnecessary. That's awful. I mean, the shit you have to go through to get a freaking passport.
Well, not only that, when your passport's gone and you keep it in a safe place, you're going to know. No, you're busted. Yeah, that was stupid.
You're going to know. Absolutely. You're right. And and that's exactly what I wrote down too, that unlike Hilton, she noticed right away. Approximately $43,000 worth. And to her, I'm sure that was quite a lot.
She wasn't Paris.
She wasn't Paris, no. So she put the footage of the gang from the security cameras on her website. I guess she had her own website, but it didn't get any hits. They knew that they were kind of onto them, but they didn't get in trouble. Nobody was knocking on their door. Yeah. They were willing to write it out. Yep, absolutely. So
they might even have enjoyed that. Oh look, we're on there, but no one knows it's us. I could see it when you're riding that high.
Yeah, I'm sure they thought they were on top of the world and untouchable.
Mm-hmm.
So then in the spring of 2009, they targeted Rachel Bilson's home several times as well. I mean, I loved the OC at that time. Yeah, I definitely watched it.
They only targeted, reality TV stars. They didn't, I don't want to say actual celebrities because that sounds bad. But
no, but I see what
you
you're
know
saying.
What I'm saying.
Yeah.
They targeted reality TV stars because that's what they emulated.
Yeah, well, Rachel Bilson, she's an actress, but I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they want to be like her.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean? That's who they envied. That's who they admired.
And they probably thought maybe that they would be about the same size and fit into their clothes. Really.
That's
in reality. Yeah. So they took between 130 to 300,000, depending on which source you quote here, but from Bilson. But it was noted that they took so many of her things that they tried to sell most of it on Venice Beach on the boardwalk to get rid of it. And they were able to make a few $1,000s doing so. So they broke into her house a couple of times as well before she noticed. Summer of 2009, they moved on to a new target. Rachel decided she wanted Miranda Kerr's lingerie collection. It's kind of gross. So they broke into Orlando Bloom's home in July of that year, because that's when they were together.
Oh, my Linda.
Mm-hmm. Gaining entry by cutting through the security fence. This break-in is the only one that Alexis Nares claims to have been a part of. And it's also the only one that caught her on video footage. So who knows? Because I remember when I was watching the reality show, she said she didn't do anything. She didn't take part in anything. She didn't do anything wrong. Obviously, she did. She's
hanging out with Marcus.
Right.
Innocent.
Mm-hmm. She said she didn't know what the plan was beforehand, but it was Alexis, Nick, Rachel, and Diana on this night that broke in.
Side note. Yeah. But you showed up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you knew something bad was going to happen.
Yeah. You knew it wasn't going to be good.
Yeah. You weren't going out for ice cream.
Yeah. They stole quite a few pieces of designer clothing, Louis Vuitton luggage, Bloom's vintage Rolex collection. I hope he got that back. And even art off the walls. They took art off the walls. Like, they walked out of the house with that. Like, I know, right? Mine. Like, handing it over the fence like this big-ass painting. Oh, my God.
Well, what I don't understand is how you could sell it without people not knowing.
I don't know how you get out of the house without people seeing that. I mean, that doesn't look suspicious. Kids walking around at night with art and luggage rolling out of the community.
I can't read a book in the backyard without anybody knowing.
This is
how
true.
How do you get away with...
I don't know. That right there to me, I was like, okay, come on. Come on. They didn't look odd to anybody. So Alexis claims that she was high on heroin at the time.
That's a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. And actually left the house to vomit and pee in the bushes. So could have looked like a normal celeb party night. People saw that and then they were like,
oh, she's having a party.
And then they turned they were like, and we're not looking out of the south-facing windows anymore of our house because we don't need to see that. Kids, move it in.
Yeah, I know.
Move it into the theater room. Orlando claimed that over $500,000 in goods were stolen that night. That sucks.
I love him.
Yeah, I love him too. That sucks. Like, that just really sucks. And he didn't leave his door unlocked. It sounded like they truly, cut through security and they broke in.
That wouldn't happen today.
No, I would hope not. But you know what? There are so many celebs that look at Taylor Swift. That crazy guy just broke into her house, took a shower, and slept in her bed. Oh. It was like some creepy Goldilocks story. Ugh. Just really gross, right? Like, if somebody can do that, that's scary. That's scary. Okay, so back to the story. August of 2009, they're still at it. They break into Brian Austin Green's residence. Any guesses why? Who was he with? Come on, you know this.
Who?
Megan Fox.
Well, of course. They've been together they're divorced now. She's with Machine Gun Kelly.
I know. Okay.
I can't even talk about that because it breaks my heart so much.
I know. I saw the latest pictures. I was like, oh, Megan.
She'll
figure it out later. So they stole designer clothes, jewelry, and then they also took Brian's 6-hour automatic handgun.
Not cool. You just crossed a whole nother.
No, you shouldn't be taking guns. That is not your thing. That same month, they chose Lindsay Lohan's residence.
I remember that.
Again, do you? Apparently, this was the dream conquest for Rachel. This was her idol of fashion, right? Like, she wanted Lindsay Lohan.
Who did not want to be Lindsay Lohan at that time?
I mean, I don't think I did.
Well, we were a little bit older. But.
Maybe. They stole a reported $130,000 worth of personal items, and she didn't mess around. She realized right away what had happened, and she released footage to TMZ, which is smart.
I remember that.
So freaking smart. who knows what these kids in the area will be watching. They're not watching the news. They're not watching, sorry, Adriana Patridge, but they're not hanging out on your website either, apparently. They're all watching TMZ, though.
Including old ass me.
Yeah, I was watching TMZ.
I remember that.
Oh, God. If you want to be entertained.
I love the TMZ updates.
Oh, my gosh.
3 times a day.
Oh, yeah. No, TMZ was definitely TMZ, MTV, all of that. Like, that's where the kids are. Somebody basically recognized them from the videos, from the security videos, from that. So tips start rolling in. Rachel Lee and Nick Prugo were the ones recognized on camera, and the police start with Nick. He denied any wrongdoing at first, but apparently his anxiety over what he did got the better of him. So it was said that he was like losing sleep, he was losing his hair, he started like he couldn't eat. He was
How long did it didn't go on that long though, right?
Probably just a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? But like
It ate him up.
He eventually started singing. So he told police about crimes that they had no idea that he even committed. Right? Like he was just like da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I imagine
a little canary.
Oh my God. I totally thought, me in movies, I totally thought of Chunk from the Goonies. In
Oh,
that one scene where he's like,
oh my gosh. I keep trying to get the kids to watch that.
Oh God, the Goonies is like my favorite. I'll watch it with them. Oh, but yeah, right when he's confessing to the Fratellis, it totally reminded me of that. I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what he looked like. It wasn't long after that Alexis Nares, Diana Tamayo, Courtney Ames, and Roy Lopez were served search warrants and ultimately arrested as well. Nick pled no contest to 2 counts of first-degree residential burglary and received a 2-year sentence, but was released after serving only 1. So none of them really served any time.
No, it wasn't anything expensive.
They really didn't. Diana was allegedly threatened with deportation, so I told you that would come up later. She cooperated and pled no contest for burglary, so both Diana and Courtney served 60 days of community service and were given 3 years probation. That's it. Nothing. Alexis didn't really get off as easy. She didn't really do a whole lot of time, but for only doing the 1 burglary, so she claims, the police stormed the set of her reality show, which I got to see that, and they served her a search warrant and they arrested her. When she
made an example out of her.
Oh, they did. They did. I mean, they did. She was actually supposed to be in Fashion Week, and on the show, she got the call. She's bawling because they canceled her from Fashion Week. She had just signed a contract with her sister to be a part of this.
Maybe you shouldn't steal from people.
Yeah, you really shouldn't do that. So, but they had like a whole thing where they were going to be like the face of this new brand. Which
you shouldn't be because you're
They called her and they were like,
we drop you.
Yeah, sorry, but we can't.
Welcome to cancel culture.
Hey, yeah. Well, she deserved it. They storm the set. They take her in. And at first she was, I didn't do anything wrong. Even on the show, she's like, I didn't do anything. Well, when she found out Orlando Bloom was ready to testify against her, she pled no contest to residential burglary as well, and she received 180 days in jail, plus 3 years probation, and she was ordered to pay $600,000 in restitution to Bloom. So she ended up staying in the Century Regional Detention Facility, where she actually stayed in the same cell block, I thought this was kind of funny, as Lindsay Lohan. So, right? Remember when she went to jail? Yeah, right. Well, she said she never talked to her, but she did hear her crying. I didn't write that in the story, but I remember reading that. She was released actually after only serving 30 days, though. So she didn't really serve any real time either. Rachel Lee was picked up at her father's residence in Las Vegas, where she ran off to after the others were arrested. So thinking she had tossed all the evidence, she was super calm at first, but the police ended up finding quite a few stolen items on their list. They also found topless photos of Hilton that she stole from her safe. Really? What are passports and nude photos?
Gross.
I know.
Who's gonna take topless?
Apparently they did, yeah. She was given the harshest punishment of the group as far as jail time. She was given 4 years in prison, but she only ended up serving 1. And remember, the gun that was stolen from the Green residence, that was in Mr. Ajar's possession. Johnny Danger is over there as an ex-con, so that's a bummer.
So that's a felony.
That's a felony. He was charged with possession of a firearm, ammunition, and also drugs. He pled not guilty, but he was later arrested for selling cocaine and possession of that firearm.
God.
Yeah, right? And with a no contest plea at the time, he was given 3 years in jail, which he only served less than a year. So he didn't even really serve much jail time.
No, but he should have.
So the Bling Ring story inspired Sofia Coppola to make a movie about the teens in 2013. Emma Watson played Alexis. The film was basically made based on an article about the group called The Suspects Wore Louboutins, written by Nancy Jo Sales, which later became a book.
I remember this.
Yeah, so it was like a big deal. They were even selling T-shirts of what like said county jail and stuff like that with these teens.
Yeah,
just based on. I mean, they were. I was like, oh,
it was bad.
It was. But it was said that the movie was not a documentary. She basically wasn't concerned with any of their reactions, and she wasn't really concerned with accuracy. She was just making a movie. So, but you get it. So Paris Hilton actually even let the director film some of the burglary scenes in her home, which I was surprised at that she would allow that. But what?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how they talked her into that, but. And then I should note here, too, that one of the LAPD officers that was working on the case was asked to assist on the film and was actually given a role as Alexis's arresting officer. Because he had not been given permission from his superiors to do so, and because he was paid for his role, he was put under investigation, creating a conflict of interest. And it was said that because of his poor decision to be a part of the film, that was also a big factor in how they got lighter sentences. I didn't write his name down. That's fine. I didn't really want to bring attention to that. I mean, hopefully he's, done
learned his lesson.
Yeah. So where are they today? Well, it seems that they are all doing their best to distance themselves from their past, which is good. Alexis, after getting out of jail, was arrested again that December in 2010 for possession of heroin. This time, she didn't go back to jail. She was allowed to stay at a luxury rehab facility in Malibu for a year, was actually offered a year's free stay by the owner. I know. Right?
I have no words.
I know. But the good thing is this actually seemed to help turn her life around. She became a counselor at the facility and has been sober ever since. She now helps recovering addicts and was quoted in an article saying, and I quote again, "I take calls at midnight from people who need help. I was a drug addict who messed up her life and thankfully decided to turn it around." She met her husband, Evan Haynes, in 2012. He was a Canadian businessman, and they met in AA, and they have 2 daughters, Harper and Dakota.
Yay!
Yeah,
good
so
for them.
Good for her.
I love stories.
Don't you love that? I knew you would enjoy that. I have goosebumps. Like, I'm so happy to hear that she's in a good place. So good for you. Then there's Rachel Lee. She was in an interview with Us Weekly. She said, and I quote, "As a teen, I was chasing love in all the wrong places. And by the time I realized it was too late, I was in prison. I truly felt prison was a blessing in disguise, the best thing that ever happened to me. It made me realize that you can only trust yourself at the end of the day." She was actually asked to work on the movie, The Bling Ring, but she turned it down. But she did mention that she ran into Emma Watson at a bar during the Super Bowl in 2017, and she had to introduce herself. So she was, like, "Hey,
I'm that girl.
I'm that girl." I thought that was kind of cool. And then October 2018, right around the time of the interview that I was reading, she graduated from cosmetology school, and she was also working on a screenplay for a TV drama. So sounds like she's doing really well, Nick Prugo, kind of surprising to me because he was known as a shy one in the ring. He chose to go a completely different route. He went on Good Morning America in February 2010 when he was out of jail to tell the story and answer questions, kind of like went ahead and jumped into the spotlight.
Agreed.
Yeah. And then in 2015, he was charged with stalking and solicitation to commit sexual assault. I didn't find out a whole lot more on that, but it looks like he's kept things on the down low since then. So I don't know what that was about, but Courtney and Diana wish to keep moving on and staying out of the limelight, however. Though I did see that Courtney tried to change her name in 2016, and it looks like Diana is now married, and she's a personal trainer. I don't know if she's still in the California area, but if you can be a trainer out there and be successful, I imagine it's a pretty good gig. Ooh. Hopefully she's doing really well, too. And then Roy Lopez Jr., he left California for Texas, and he's now working in the oil field. I thought it was interesting in one of the E! Online interviews that he did, he mentioned that he went in for an interview there for a job, and they recognized him as the guy from TMZ. He said even his parole officer made a crack about hoping that he didn't have to worry about getting a visit from a current affair. I thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, oh my God, you can't go anywhere. No. TMZ.
After you're on TMZ, you're done.
Everyone knows who you are. Celebrities in general just seem to be a pretty big target, for all kinds of these things. I mean, they're in the spotlight and all that, I think that would be the worst part of it. I think that would be the part that I would hate the most, is just having to worry all the time if like some crazy person was going to break into my house for whatever reason. And I don't know. I did read later on too that the burglars inspired by the Bling ring back in 2014 were the ones that broke into Miley Cyrus's home. Her car was stolen, and they took her car. And then, they were eventually caught, but she put her house on the market the month after that happened.
Well, you're so violated.
Yeah, I don't blame her. Taylor Swift, ooh, like, what did that guy do in her house? That's so creepy. It's not uncommon. There's a pretty long list of people who've had a brush with intruders and celebrities. Like, I was reading, I could have, like, given you a whole long list.
So many. Just in all different ways.
So
it's gross.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't want that at all. I would be like, you know what? Keep your Louboutins. Keep your, designer gems and whatever. Get me 24/7 security so that I know I don't have to worry about that. Like, post people outside my house.
But it's weird because then you don't even have privacy that way because you have these people who are watching you all the time.
They could be creepy too.
They could be. They could be on the inside. A book I just read. Yeah.
I know. So what do you think? That was my non-murder story.
Oh, I like it. I didn't recognize the title. I do recognize the names, especially the rehab one.
Yeah. What were you going to tell me? You said to remind you. It was right around when we were talking about Calabasas and some other stuff, and you were like, "Oh, remind me. I'll tell you." Paris Hilton, something in there. You forgot
already. I'll remember later, I'm sure.
Tell me later.
Dang it.
That's okay.
I'll text you at like 2 a.m. and be like, I remember now.
I'll still be up. That's fine. I'm sure I'll be staring at the ceiling. Me and my insomnia lately. Oh my gosh, Jen. I didn't sleep the entire vacation. I know it was
Your
like wonderful.
Like a peak.
My anxiety.
Your stress level is
Tuesday
like off
to
the
Saturday.
Hook.
No sleep. That's a long time. I don't know how I'm still alive.
No.
I'm on fumes.
I don't know how you are either.
Can I go to Malibu and go to that rehab, and can I?
Only if you bring me. Is there an application?
Yeah, you can come.
Is insurance covered?
Maybe they'll let us stay for free.
We probably like paint things. I just picture like painting and like horseback riding and like all of these like I shouldn't make fun of rehab. I apologize, but it sounds very relaxing.
It does. That's why I said I want to go there. It has to be better than what I'm doing right now.
I'm not trying to poke fun at people.
No, not at all.
It just sounds very.
If you can go to rehab like that and truly get better, that's amazing.
It's probably
good
not
for you.
Even drug addiction for me, but I could use a mental break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I still remember. What was it? I don't even know if it was like a TV show, but the mom or somebody was like, I don't want to die. I just want to get into like a slight accident so I can have like a 5-day stay at the hospital and just relax.
Talk to me, especially with COVID. No one can even visit.
I can relate.
Maybe this is what I was going to tell you. I was looking, so I haven't been on social media much lately. I hate social media, everybody. I hate it. So I haven't been on it much. But
we love you guys, and we are trying to stay on Instagram, but Facebook's a rough.
People are dumb, but I got on Instagram. I can't remember for what reason. I was looking for some, like, it always brings me back. Like, I'm looking up a recipe or something. I don't know. It's stupid, and it brings me back to social media. So I was looking, and the Kardashians had a sleepover. This is what it was. Because you know how we do it, like our sleepovers. We're like, oh, we're going to have a sleepover.
Yeah.
When we go on our little, like, girls' trips or whatever, and we come out in our, like, 15-year-old sweatshirts and our sweatpants. And
the
we're
comfy
like,
stuff.
Yeah. The Kardashians had a sleepover. I have to show you the picture.
Oh, and it looked like a runway show? Stop it!
That's their sleepover. They had to get ready for that.
I would need 7 stylists and like a wardrobe department.
I would need like 8 days of this. It wraps. Remember those?
Oh,
the wraps.
Yeah, the wraps. Oh, that was such bullshit. Yeah. Oh God, no. That was a sleepover.
That's a casual.
That right there to
sleepover.
me, that casual sleepover picture looks like it should be a spread in like Playboy magazine. That's what that looks like to me.
Just hanging out.
That's a sleepover? Oh, for the love. You know what we need to do?
We
need
to do a
to wear
sleepover
our
picture.
sleepover stuff. And
do the same
We
picture.
need to take the same picture.
Oh my God.
And put it side by side and be like, and this is the Midwest.
Do you see that?
This is the Midwest. There'll be cows in the background. It'll be... I'm just kidding.
But anyways, that's one of the things I was thinking. I had to show you.
No, you can't. You can't relate to that at all. No one can relate to that. That's ridiculous.
Casual sleepover. Hey, you want to come over? Don't forget your... What are those lace up?
So you like walk in the door, you get like a Botox shot, and then you move on to like...
I want to go.
Right? I don't know. But then you have to put that on and take a picture. No, thank you. No. Okay. Yeah.
Anyways.
That's all I got. My stomach is growling.
Our food should be outside.
Our food's outside.
But I have a good story. Well, I know what story that I'm gonna do next.
Oh, good. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. So
your stomach.
I hope you guys can't hear that, but that's why I was like, I think our food's outside. We gotta go. I didn't eat lunch today.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
We will, but find us
on Instagram, and we will be there.
Yeah, we're on Facebook too, but really, find us on Instagram. All right, we'll talk to you next time.
See you. Bye.
Bye.